to another episode of Eye on Baltimore. I'm John Carrington, and I have the pleasure of talking to Dr. Carla Hayden, who is the director of the Enoch Pratt Free Library. Now, am I pronouncing your title correctly?
Well, actually, it's now CEO, and that's something recent, and we're very delighted to be able to join other not-for-profits that are using that title as well to really show that even though you're not-for-profit, you're still business-like, and so they've changed the title.
All right, CEO, Dr. Carla Hayden. And I'd like to ask you for the state of the library.
Well, it's really exciting time, and there's been a really influx of new people who have discovered the library again, and this is happening all over the country. And there was a recent study that just came out by the Pew Foundation that showed that people are coming into libraries, they're checking out books traditionally, but they're also downloading ebooks, and I'd love to talk about that.
Well, let's talk about the new technologies. The new technologies are pushing us ahead so rapidly. The internet, ebooks.
Right.
How has that impacted the Enoch Pratt Library?
The Enoch Pratt is similar to other libraries, and I'm mentioning this because this is a national, actually, movement that's going on. As people are getting, I think, more choices in terms of how they want to read a book. They can read the traditional paperback, they can read a hardback, but now they're also saying, oh, I can put an ebook, download an ebook from a website, the Pratt Library website, for free, and that's important, so we're still free, even though it's electronic. You can put it on whatever electronic device you have. So if you have an iPad, for instance, or you have a tablet, or even your phone, you can actually put a book on your device and read it.
All right, suppose me and my buddy are having a discussion and we want to find out some historical fact. You have systems that will answer those sorts of questions.
Similar to what you would find with Google, and this is where I'm going to reach out to your viewing audience and say, you can Pratt that. That's our new app. So we're trying it out now. Pratt that. Just like you would Google something. And we have an actual app, a Pratt Library app, and you can download that. And if you want to, and this is also following tradition, people, for instance, like with the Super Bowl, there might have been some facts that people wanted to find out. You can contact the librarians and they'll answer your questions. It's a chat situation, and you can do that too. So libraries in Pratt in particular are really moving with the technology and using it to reach new people, but also keep the ones we have.
What is your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is one that comes with offering so many programs and having so many things that you can offer. It's the financial resources to continue to do it. And so we're raising private funds. We have a group of young at heart called the Pratt Contemporaries, and they just had a very successful fundraiser, the Black and White Party, where they have fun and they raise money. And so we are really looking at ways that we can support all of this demand that's coming up now.
Okay, and now in spending your resources wisely, how do you acquire new material? Is that acquisition process less expensive, more expensive? Talk about that.
Well, it's changed. Right now, for instance, we have 3 librarians that we call electronic resources librarians, and they are actually making contracts and negotiations with publishers electronically.
Okay.
And instead of, for instance, getting a new book and looking at it and kind of reading it and reviewing it, they're actually reading the reviews online, they're ordering things online, and everything is in the electronic format. So that means you have to have the equipment for that. So it's a change in where you put your resources. It's an exciting time, though, because we're recruiting a lot of young people to work in libraries now.
All right, let's talk about the employment situation. Do you lose employees when you go electronic, digital, or do you have to expand your employee base?
I think what we're finding is we have people who want to be retrained, and they need to be retrained. So, For instance, when I started, and I'm sure some of your viewers remember word processors and
Oh, yeah.
different things like that. Well, now that's totally
Oh,
different.
and I still have one.
I understand. And so what we're finding is we have to put more money into training, and the staff members want that training because they want to be able to keep up. So that's where you're attracting younger people, but you're also retaining some of your staff members because they see that these are skills they need just to deal in life, to go to the self-checkout at the grocery store. You need to be able to do something.
All right, in 10 years, what will the Enoch Pratt Free Library look like?
Well, we already have 21 neighborhood libraries. And so what you'll see is that those libraries, similar to the recently renovated Pennsylvania Avenue branch, will contain more technology. You will be able to, for instance, come into a branch library and you will be able to just pick up a tablet and sit anywhere in the library, and there will be all kinds of seating. And because it's Wi-Fi, you will be able to do whatever you need to do right there and do that. The Central Library is scheduled for a major renovation that's going to happen over the next 5 years. So in 10 years, boy, this place will really be something.
I really admire your coffee shop you have downstairs.
Oh, it's going to be bigger. In the next class, it's going to be like a bookstore combination thing. So this building that we're in now, the Central Library on Cathedral Street, will look like Grand Central Station, how that was renovated. The same architects are working on it. And it will also be just brighter and I think definitely more comfortable. We're getting new air conditioning and heating and everything like that. So it will be a very pleasant building to be in. It will still have this beautiful historic look, but it'll be very up to date.
What has been the highlight of your tenure?
I think the highlight of my tenure is when the library was actually selected to receive the largest grant for ebooks in the United States so far. And that was the work of our librarians, the recognition that we are moving ahead but preserving the past. And so it was a real highlight to have that type of recognition from the Weinberg Foundation.
I love it. And you mentioned teamwork, your staff.
Oh, they did it.
Individuals you want to give shout outs to?
Oh, there's so many. Roswell Encina, who's our Director of Communications. Many people may know him from his tweeting. We're the sixth most, and this is important for the viewers, the sixth most influential library in the world on Twitter. And that's, I understand, very good. And he has really raised the profile of the library. There's another staff member, Graphic Jack, we call him, Jack Young, who has designed our windows at the Cathedral Street Library, but also the look and feel of the library. We have Judy Cooper, who does programming, so a lot of the authors that are coming and the big names. Deborah Taylor, who works with our school system and the young adults. And so there's a really a wide cast of characters and dedicated people who I wouldn't be able to do what I do without them.
Yeah. What can our listeners do to help you?
I think what they can do is check us out. They can go to our website, prattlibrary.org, and they can look at all of the features. They may not know that they can check out e-readers now for free. They can download ebooks onto their devices. You can also contact us and actually download if you miss an author. Like we have Chief Justice Sonia Sotomayor coming in a couple weeks. You might not be able to make it. You can actually download her talk and listen to it while you exercise or something. But mainly just to find out what we have, because we have so much that I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah. And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more with CEO Carla Hayden, Dr. Carla Hayden.
Hello, I'm John Waters, and I'm proud to say that Baltimore has always been my home. Let me tell you, there are not a more eccentric, monumental, eclectic, intriguing, and character-filled 28 blocks anywhere in the world, and I'm here to prove it to you. This is where Babe Ruth was born. They tell me he's the best baseball player ever. Not that I'd know. I'm more into theater. Like nearby Arena Players, the nation's longest continuously running African-American community theater. On that same block sits the U.B. Blake National Jazz Institute, housing memorabilia from Baltimore jazz greats like Billie Holiday and, of course, U.B. himself. The West Side is also where the Maryland Historical Society calls home.
Oh, hey, welcome back to Eye on Baltimore. I'm John Carrington, and I have the pleasure of speaking with CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library, Dr. Carla Hayden. And Dr. Hayden, I'd just like you right now to share with us what it is that the public doesn't know about the Pratt that they really need to know. There's always something that is obvious to you, obvious to your staff, but the public just doesn't know.
I think one of the things that people might not realize is how much support the Pratt Library provides for people who are in school, who are homeschooling their own children, and who are trying to get their GED, and even for teachers, that we have special resources for teachers. For instance, a special teacher card that allows teachers to check out a large number of materials and keep them for a longer period of time. That young children under 12 can either read down their fines, they don't have to pay fines, and if they're under 6, they don't have to pay fines at all. So we're making it much easier for people to use the library, and we have so much that people can take advantage of. If you're looking for a job, we give you an internet account, an email account, so you can apply online at the library, and then we give you an account so you can get the reply back. And so those types of things are the things that I think people might be surprised about.
All right, the Read Down Your Fine program. I think you need to talk about that a little bit more.
It's a new program, and it's for young people 6 to 18, and we find that people might not realize, especially young people, that you can only accumulate a certain amount in fines. It's like $6 per book, but that builds up. And so young people can actually do a reading assignment in the library. They can read for 15 minutes, and they earn Pratt Bucks, we're calling them. You actually get a coupon, and it's got Mr. Pratt's picture on it. You can't use it at the store, though. Pratt Bucks can only give you that. And you can actually read down your fine, and you're doing your homework, you're doing other things that you have to do anyway in school, but you're marking off that fine that you have.
All right. Now, you've been with the library system how long now?
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
I know.
Something funny has bound to have happened. What has been your funniest moment in 20 years?
I'll tell you one of the most unique moments. It gets to the fact that some people do realize that the Pratt Library can help them with solutions and delights. That's one of our phrases that we use. So a lady came in to the central library, to the front desk, and asked for me, and the librarian that was there said, "How can she help you? And she had put a bag on the desk, and in the bag was a bird, a live bird. But the bird had a broken wing." And the lady said, I understand that the library can help, and the library has solutions.
Okay.
So that was one of the biggest surprises. We were able to help the lady connect with the Humane Society and all of that, and she went away with the bird, pleased that she had gotten that information. But she had heard us talking. She heard me on an interview similar to this, talking about how we can help you with life's problems and solutions, and give you solutions. And she came in with that bird.
That is heartwarming. That is
Well, it was something to see. It wasn't a raven, but it was a bird.
Oh my goodness. Well, there are people who would love to work with the Pratt, and let's talk a part of employment. What is the procedure for your hiring?
Well, basically, you can actually go to our website, and there are job opportunities listed, and you can come into the Central Library. We have a Human Resources Department, and you can get applications and talk to some staff members about what you'd like to do. You can also volunteer if you're looking, and I know some young people And some retired people want to do something, they don't want to be tied down too much, or they need the community service hours, they can actually volunteer at the library.
Okay. What advice do you have for parents? When I was a child, mom said, go to the library, do your homework. I went to the library, found the books, spent some time, borrowed some books, did my homework. In this day and age of diverse sources of information, what advice do you have for parents who have the same problem my parents had, getting Johnny to do that homework? What advice?
The advantage now Johnny has now is that there are all of the electronic resources that are available, the databases that would cost a lot of money to subscribe to at home are at your library. And just with the library card, now it opens up so much. I would advise the parent to say, ask the librarian. You need some help. Ask the librarian. The librarian's there. They can help you surf the net. They can show you safe sites, and that there's so much you can do, and also some programs.
Safe sites.
Safe sites. Be safe on the internet too. A lot of young people don't realize that everything isn't vetted on the internet, and so to get some help for that.
And of course, we're in the middle of Black History Month. What are you doing for Black History Month?
Well, we have a number of programs that actually people can come. Authors are coming. Shirley Sherrod, the lady who was with the USDA, and she had that pretty bad experience where she was asked to resign. She's written a book. She's coming, as well as we have a lot of authors for all ages, so people can just go on the website and find out who's coming when. The other thing that we have, though, that we're really excited about is a wonderful new exhibit. I mentioned Graphic Jack, our own exhibit. It's an exhibit about, it's called Created Equal, and it features Emancipation Proclamation.
That's right.
And actual items from our collection that highlight that, and also the inaugurations of President Obama and the program from the latest inauguration. And so it's a wonderful exhibit. It gives you the history, and it also shows, I think, by linking the Emancipation Proclamation and President Obama's inaugurations, just how far we've come, but also raises the issues about how far the nation, and when I say we, I don't mean just African Americans, but the nation needs to go with civil rights. So that's a highlight at the Central Library, that it will be here.
Right. I remember Mr. Sherrod's remarks were pertaining to giving support to black farmers and white farmers.
Right.
And there's always that political equation of who gets the help. And I think her comments didn't help that situation. I know the Pratt is nonpartisan as far as politics go.
We try to be.
What support can you give to our legislators, the people who are making decisions with information?
And when I say we try to be in terms of nonpartisan, I really mean that what our main value is that everyone deserves to find information and not be penalized for it or have any repercussions for just wanting to know whatever they want to know about. So we shouldn't make judgments about that. So if there's any stand that we take politically, it's that one, that everybody has the right to know. And that means that sometimes we have authors who are controversial or people who are presenting ideas that some people may not agree with. But we used to say just with the books, we let the books battle it out on the shelf. So you might have Mein Kampf there and another book about something else. So it's the books, and everybody gets to choose. So when you look at those types of issues, you try to have some balance, and so I think that's how we kind of try to bridge that.
I'm curious, what are the issues that the public generally ask about most often? I mean, is there a particular genre or
Yes.
Okay.
The number one issue that most public libraries help people with are health. It's health.
Okay.
People want to know about diabetes, or they want health information, and that's something that you'll see not just in Baltimore but all over the country, that health information is very important. The second thing that people are very interested in, and especially now with the economy, is how can I get a job? What are the employment opportunities?
Okay.
Also, how can I help with my business? And not-for-profits are looking for help with grant proposal writing and things like that. And so we have, in fact, the Pratt Library has a special grants collection and people to help you with that. And we give workshops on that. We also give workshops on how do you do your resume and how do you do job interviews, things like that.
All right, suppose a minority businessman says to himself, I want to start a business. And the first thing they ask for is a business plan.
Right.
He walks into the library, and what happens?
Well, the librarian will kind of do an interview, and there will be a number of resources that the librarian will offer right away about how to do a business plan. And some of them will be in print form, some of them will be electronic, that actually will give you the template that you can plug in what your ideas are and your information. And also, the librarian will give information about what workshops are available, either in the library or in other places. So it's really a consultation for that business person about what their needs are, even what their business might be too, because then they'll give them information about, let's say, organic tomato growing, or whatever it is. They'll give them the information about the industry that they're interested in, and then also the process.
All right, well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more Eye on Baltimore.
USS Constellation. There's a grand lady in Baltimore who has taken her rightful place as the Inner Harbor's crown jewel in the heart of the Chesapeake Bay. Let's see what happens when you come aboard Constellation.
When you come on board, cell phones and everything don't work anymore. This turns into the 1860s, and you are back in time on the Constellation learning what it was like to be here.
People come on board and they get touched by this walking through history that they're able to do, and they're able to see the hammocks and see the officer's wardroom and sit in the captain's cabin and have this whole immersive experience that you're never going to get at most types of museums. So.
All right, welcome back to Eye on Baltimore. I'm John Carrington, and I'm speaking with the CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library, Dr. Carla Hayden. And Dr. Hayden, you have some historical artifacts here at the library. You're a treasure trove. Explain.
Well, one of the reasons why the Pratt Library has been designated the State Library Resource Center. Maryland is one of 3 states that doesn't have a state library in its capital. So when you go to Annapolis, you won't see a building saying state library like you would if you were in Albany or New York or Springfield, Illinois, where I'm from. There's a building, the state library. And in 1971, the Pratt Library was designated the state library basically for Maryland. So we received special funds to provide services to all of the citizens of Maryland and the library systems in Maryland. So we run the computer system, Sailor for instance. And the other thing that makes us a unique state resource is we have a wonderful collection of materials, books and materials, interesting things like a lock of Edgar Allan Poe's hair, a piece of his coffin that we display at certain times. We have a manuscript going back to the 12th century that will be on display, we hope, very soon. We're getting it preserved so it can be presented. We have museum quality materials, and we were very fortunate that we were able to display for just one day on February 12th a document signed by Abraham Lincoln. And it was just wonderful to bring it out of our vault. We have a vault that looks like a bank vault that some of these treasures are in. And we were able to display it for that day and let people see Abraham Lincoln's signature on a document that was asking for the states to come together. And it was signed by, and the new Lincoln movie is out. And so one of the characters is the Secretary of State, Seward. And his signature is on there as well.
Wow.
So it's Lincoln and Seward's signature. And so the excitement of bringing out some of these treasures. And so that's the kind of thing that people will find. And they could actually ask to see some of these materials if they make an appointment.
That's very valuable. All right, suppose Johnny has an assignment for Black History Month to find out if slavery was prominent in Baltimore City. Now we know that there were some historical figures who actually were a part of indentured servitude and slavery here in Baltimore. But if they came in with that problem, what would the process be? Johnny walks through the door. What happens?
The first thing Johnny would see is a wonderful information desk, and a staff member would say, what are you interested in? And then if they're at the Central Library, they go into our African American department, and that is on the first floor. It's the largest African American collection in the state, public collection, and it has things, for instance, like a copy of Benjamin Banneker's Almanac and Phyllis Wheatley's poems, and just wonderful historical documents. But the staff members in there would show the young person all of the materials that we have about slavery in Baltimore, the Underground Railroad material that we have quite a bit, because there were houses in Baltimore that were part of the Underground Railroad, and so we have the documentation for that, as well as newspaper clippings from the Times, and we also have something that has been interesting for Black history in particular. We have one of the largest collections of funeral programs of African Americans in Baltimore City and the surrounding area.
And of course, we know that Frederick Douglass was a part of the shipbuilding industry in Fells Point.
So we have the documentation about the shipbuilding industry at Fells Point. And we also, because of our state role, we connect to institutions like the National Archives, the Maryland Historical Society. So if we don't have the information or the documents, we are the broker, and we can get them, and they will send it to the Pratt Library, and you can use the materials here.
I'm curious about advice for first-time visitors to the Central Branch.
The Central Library and Cathedral, it's right across from the cathedral, and we like to call this a cathedral of learning. It's the People's University, and so my primary advice would be to not be afraid to ask questions of the staff members, and there's no stupid question. And
are you sure?
There really isn't.
Okay, all right.
There are a lot of interesting questions, and sometimes we'd like to know why you want to know these things. However, the staff members are really anxious to help, and they want to help you find out what you need. And so don't hesitate. If you see somebody at a computer, don't think you're disturbing them or anything like that. Definitely just go up to a staff member and start to ask a question. And you'll be surprised at just how much help you can get. I mean, they will actually almost physically take you by your hand and take you there. So I think if you do one thing, just don't hesitate to ask.
All right, final thoughts.
Well, the final thoughts have to do with the fact that a lot of people might not still realize all the things that the library has to offer, and I think if we could just let them know that they can explore. All of it's for free, and that's really something in this economy, and was part of Mr. Pratt, in fact, is looking down on us in this room. When he started this library, he said, "My library shall be for all, rich or poor, without distinction of color." And in Baltimore in 1886, that was quite a statement, and it still holds true today.
That was radical. Yeah.
Rich or poor, without distinction of color, and so that's what we are. We're free, and we're open.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Carla Hayden, who is the CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library. I can call the system, can I?
Oh, yes.
Okay, the library system. I want to thank you for being a part of Eye on Baltimore. And I'm John Carrington saying tune in again next time for more Eye on Baltimore. And we're going to both say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Come in.